Welcome to This Week in 2016 Presidential Polls, where we look past the horse race to the numbers that really matter. Here's the polling news that you need to know for the week ending October 9th. Now, there's been a lot of scrutiny on the GOP race since last month's debate, especially on Donald Trump's numbers. Now, we do have to keep in mind that some of the changes in an individual polling organization's numbers may be overstated because of wide gaps in time between when those polls were conducted. However, if we look at all the polls that have been conducted over the last few weeks and take them together, we find some notable shifts in the key metric of candidate favorability. We've already discussed the unprecedented flip in Donald Trump's ratings from negative to positive after he announced his run. Using the bi-weekly Economist YouGov tracking poll as our guide, we see that Trump went from a 38% favorable rating among Republican voters right before he announced his campaign in June to a whopping 61% rating before he took center stage in that first debate in August. That number crept up to 68% right before the second debate, but in the subsequent weeks, it has fallen by 12 points to 56%. Recent Marist polls conducted for NBC and the Wall Street Journal in the early voting states tell a similar story. Trump's rating among Iowa Republicans has fallen by 6 points to 52% since the last month. And among New Hampshire Republicans, it has dropped by 9 points to 47%. In fact, Donald Trump is the only leading candidate in the GOP field who have seen his numbers slip since that debate. So let's take a look at some of the others. Jeb Bush's rating had slipped even before the first debate, going from 63% in June when he was the presumed frontrunner to 55%. Since then, it has held fairly steady. Although it is worth noting that this week's Marist poll in New Hampshire shows a 9-point jump in Bush's rating there over the past month, and it now stands at 58%. Ben Carson's rating was growing before the first debate, and it has continued to climb ever since. He was below 50% early in the summer, reached 67% by mid-August, and now stands at 74% after the second debate. Carly Fiorina's rating really jumped after her star turn in the first happy hour debate, going from 46% before to 59% after. It held steady through the rest of the summer, but increased again to 63% after her performance on the main stage during the second debate. And the one candidate who we have been pointing to all along as this campaign's stalking horse, he continues to hold strong support among Republican voters. Marco Rubio's support hovered near 60% early in the summer, then went up to 67% after the first debate. It slipped a little to 63% in the aftermath, but went back up to 68% after the second GOP debate. Republican voters simply like Marco Rubio, and they're reminded of that every time they see him. In the meantime, we have now seen the first signs of vulnerability in that Trump juggernaut, something which some observers thought might never happen. Is this a temporary plateau or the beginning of a downward trend? We shall see. And those are the highlights and lowlights of This Week in 2016 presidential polls. Until next time, I'm Patrick Murray from the Monmouth University Polling Institute.